our teacher for this ongoing series. We're so happy to have you join us here today. I want everyone to know that this program is being recorded and will be available to you on YouTube later. It's youtube.com/AARPND when we have a playlist. And so I'll mention that again at the end, but it's good to know you can keep practicing. For more than 60 years, AARP has worked to empower those 50 and older to live their best lives, to thrive as we age. To live well, we all know that we have to keep exercising our bodies and our brains. And the beautiful thing is that yoga does both of those things. Yoga creates a more flexible body and it strengthens parts of your brain that play a role in awareness, memory, and more. Now, with any exercise, please remember to check with your doctor before you begin any new exercise routine. And as I mentioned earlier, our class today is led by Sigrid Strebe, a yoga teacher here from Bismarck, and she is going to lead you through this hip mobility practice today. But one more time before we begin, please check with your doctor before starting any new exercise activity. And with that, Sigrid, take it away.
Thanks, Marnie, and thanks to AARP for having us also. So hip mobility is something that I personally am very aware of. If you joined us last year for this series, you may have noted that somewhere along there, I had a hip replacement. So hip mobility, I'm very familiar with, and the other one, you might notice that there are differences from side to side. Super common for all of us. Allow yourself some grace. Allow yourself to just find the edges of where you're at, and then learn, and then just find your breath. Okay. So we will be starting in seated today. I sit in hero's pose. This is what works best for my hips and my knees. For you, it might be this crisscross applesauce or Sukhasana, we call it. Well, you can already see what's happening, right? Or you might be extending your legs forward and just hanging out here. You can also join us if you're in a chair, make some modifications and play with that. If you have some yoga blocks, those are always helpful. And we do have a program, or one of our classes was on how to use props. And we use soup cans in that. So you've got things at home already. So coming into your easy seat, however or whatever that is, we always start with breath. I'm going to get set back up here again. And that's just allowing ourselves to kind of settle in, actually once our physical body's here, bring the rest of ourselves onto the mat, and then settle in just a smidge. All right. Find a little movement through the spine first, just to find connection with breath and body. We'll exhale, round the spine, bring the chin into the chest. Push your hands into the legs, wherever they're at, and then a gentle lift through the heart. Pull the shoulder blades together first, feel the center of the chest lift, and then notice what happens through the low back. Trying to keep that long and strong and supported by the belly first. And then round the spine, bring chin into chest. We'll lift again. Just take a little twist on over to that right side. Bring gaze over front shoulder, and then let the chin drop down toward the chest. Find some length through the neck. Okay. If at any time you need to move or shift your seat, feel free to do that. And then we'll lift the chin, bring it back into center. Let the hands rise, just finding a little movement here, and then twist over to the other side. And again, bringing that gaze toward the front or towards your front shoulder, and then where it's available, let the chin drop down. Okay. You'll notice openings or lengthening through the jaw, maybe up and in through the ear, definitely through the neck. A lovely little twist to do if you got those sensations like everything just feels a smidge tight. Bring it back into neutral. Bring that chest back around, and then one more time, round the spine, drop chin into chest. Big exhale, let everything go. Inhale, pull through, squeeze those shoulder blades, lift through the heart. Strengthen the belly as you gaze up, and then bring it back into that neutral spine. Kind of roll through shoulders a bit, and then exhale. Let everything out. From here, let's find movement with breath. We'll take a breath, inhale. Feel the shoulders lift up, and then let go, shoulders back, exhale. Back into the center. And again, find that connection with ribs. Take a deep inhale. Let go, exhale. Take those hands to the ribs And whether you're right underneath the armpit or right at the bottom of the ribs makes no difference, or you can just kind of even feel in the front of the belly. Take a breath, feel the breath move in, feel that inhale expand, maybe pressing into the hands a bit here. Moving out to the sides and feeling the strength that the breath requires just to find an inhale. Exhale. Draw it in again. And release, let go, exhale. Feel the breath expand out to the sides. Release, exhale. And then in again, inhale. And exhale. Maybe just noticing, bringing those hands back to the lap, noticing how the breath or that increase in oxygenation or that increase in strength in your breath, how it maybe changes the way you feel just a little bit. Maybe sometimes you might feel a tish lightheaded, so just stay seated while you're here. But you also might feel like this soft sensation of exuberance as you're just kind of like, oh, I just feel better, and I'm not sure why. And sometimes that's just drawing the breath in a tiny bit deeper. Now, from here, again, we're going to bring the chin into the chest, round the spine. Let the hands come forward, fingertips rise and reach overhead. Now, whether you can reach all the way to the sky or you can reach to here, all of those are perfect. Just find the edge of it for you. Let the shoulders fall away from the ears. Bring a soft gaze for the sky. And then we'll bring the hands down to the tops of the legs, to the knees, wherever they're at, and bring chin into chest. So what you're doing is you're finding this soft movement through the pelvis, right? So hip joints here, finding a little bit of movement, maybe even through low back or SI joint, just finding all of those spaces to move. Mobility is also about strength. Let those hands rise. And then let the hands come back down, feeling that tailbone tuck beneath you. And then pull forward again. Let those hip points pull forward, ribs come forward, hands rise. And then back into center. Now, let's start to do small circles here, feeling that movement through low back. Sometimes hip pain, not pain, but like that inability to move hips is sometimes just tightness through the back and then tightness through the hip flexors. So we're going to find a lot of movement through those spaces just to help you find a way to open up some of those muscles, warm some of those muscles up and find movement. We're also going to start to rotate in all the directions the hips go and then start to settle into center and then start to slowly swish in the other direction. Okay, noticing how it feels in that ball and socket joint at the hips. Just a soft swish. And again, it might be just here, and that's also perfect, but just starting to play with it. Settle into the middle again. Feel that length of the spine. And then we'll start to find our way up and into your tabletop. So I'm here, I can easily just go forward. I'll probably swish my legs around anyway. You can find however you need to get into tabletop. And again, that's up and onto all fours. So hands and knees. If you've got extra pads for those sensitive knees, feel free to just pad up, people, okay? From this space, I want you to take your left leg straight back, push the toes down and into the mat, and then press the heel back. From here, take a lift. So I want you to squeeze through your glute first, so squeeze your booty. So it's strong through that space. You've got to have strong booties to help support the hips, and then lift this left leg. Doesn't have to be all the way even with the back, but just take it back down, give it a little tap, tiny lift, and then tap it back down. Inhale, lift again, and then release, tap down. From here, we'll lift and then bring the knee in toward the chest. Soft rounding of the spine, but finding that mobility and rotation again, and then press back. Bring it back into center. And then one more time, press straight back, push the toes down, and then press the heel back, kind of lengthening through the calf, but also feeling length from the bottom of your ribs down to your knee. opening up kind of through belly and hip flexor. Other side, as you bring that knee down, make any movements you need to find release. And then step your right foot back. Push toes into the mat. Oh, lengthen through that calf. Might feel good through the feet too. And then we'll find just a little press forward. Squeeze your booty. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And then lift this right leg. Bring it back down. Maybe you can lift a little higher, but squeeze the booty, squeeze the belly so it's not all in your low back. Lift and rise. And then bring it back down. One more time, we'll lift it up and then draw the knee in toward the chest, round the spine where you can. Press the hips back, or the heel back, I should say. And then pull in and then release knee to the floor. Tuck under and find a little movement back. So it's a variation of child's pose here. So your child pose might call for your knees to be together, and then the hips come back a little bit, and then you're just up on a block, or you're staying here, but just finding the edge of that press back. You may decide, if your body allows for it, knees go super wide, big toes to touch, press the heels back. And if you can, forehead down toward the floor, but find a place to feel supported here. A soft lift through mid-back. So you'll feel this lengthening through mid-back down to the tailbone. Bring your gaze slightly forward, press into the hands again. Extend, bring those knees back underneath you. Tuck your toes under, and then from here, feel the strength of the hands as they press down into the floor, lift the knees, and then hips rise. Pedal it out. Pump those heels side to side, and we'll come high onto the tiptoes. Walk the heels over to the right side. So you're gonna feel those heels come down, or even start to press down. And then maybe you're a little shorter in your stance here, but you'll notice this lengthening on the side of the left leg. Lift and rise. Press the heels over to the other side. Take that little swish. Bring the heels as close to the floor as you can. And then press that right hip up. Bring feet back into center. Let's get off of those hands and start to walk the feet up between the fingertips. Finding either pressing into your block, forearms onto thighs here, or hands to the floor, okay? Finding the space to just lengthen through the spine, and then let the crown of the head release toward the floor where you can. Strong inhale, and then let go, exhale. Come up halfway, so you're gonna bring your chest perpendicular to the floor. Feel the strength in the legs as you kind of squeeze the heels towards center. Sink those hips back. Remember, mobility requires strength also. And then let the hands either come to heart center or rise toward the sky. Straighten the knees, we'll lift, and then bring the elbows down and into the ribs, opening through the heart. We'll do three more of those half sun salutes. We'll reach towards sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. So give a little bend in the knees here, strength through the legs as you let the hands rise towards sky. Try not to roll on up, letting the strength come through legs and through belly first. Elbows to ribs. Inhale up, swan dive forward. Inhale for that half lift, and that's just coming on the fingertips. And again, belly perpendicular to floor. Soft bend in the knees so the strip movement comes through the legs, forward fold. Reach hands towards sky, up toward the heavens, and then the elbows down into ribs. One more time, inhale up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale for a half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Strong legs, sweep towards sky. And then bring elbows down and into ribs. Then release the arms out to the sides. Finding this mobility or movement through this right leg will bring the right knee forward. Now, if you feel like you want a little more stability, hang out a little closer to the wall. Maybe you grab a block or your sit can, and we'll bring this right knee forward. Rotate out to the side, okay? So you're gonna hang out here. So you're just finding this movement or rotation through the hip here, okay? Now, find where the edge of that is. Sometimes it feels a little easier if the foot's higher and foot's flat to the floor, and you're just finding this movement, okay? So play with that. And then we'll take this right leg, step it back, feel the heel come flat to the floor. So it'll look like this on your mat. And we'll press the heel down where we can and try to find as much length from the knee to the bottom of the rib. So you're lengthening through the quad here, front side of the leg. Hands rise or hands to heart center. Pull the shoulder blades towards center and lift. Take a moment to bend into this front knee, into your left knee, and exhale. Thumbs come into the center. So finding a little lean forward, feel the strength through the center. Inhale, lift. Hands to hips. And either stutter step or walk, float this right foot forward. Come into your Tadasana or mountain pose. Inhale up, reach. And then bring thumbs right back into heart center. Bring the left knee forward. And again, playing with that motion through the hip, that rotation from front to side. And maybe you need to lift it, give her a little help. Playing again with that movement. Hold on to the wall if you'd like. Something you can do at a countertop too, just continuing to find that movement. We'll open it out one more time. Bring that left knee forward, then step the foot back. Feel the heel connect down and into the floor, okay? So this back foot's actually about a 45-degree angle. You notice you've got a little distance side to side, nice, strong, stable base. And then let your hands either heart center, start to rise, maybe reach up toward the ceiling. And then as you feel this length, bottom of the ribs down to that knee, you'll start to bend into this front leg. Hands rise. Try lifting just your toes, not your foot, just your toes up just a smidge. Feel that lift and rise, that kind of like float toward the sky while you're still connected to the mat. If it's possible, you'll start to lean forward, and your lean forward might consist of just a little off center, or you can find this full extension. Bring the hands back into heart center, thumbs right at the sternum, and either stutter step up or lift this leg and float to the top, rise towards sky. Forward fold. Sweep hands towards sky. And bring those elbows down and into ribs. Hands out to the sides. Again, we're gonna move and take this right leg. You'll open it up toward the long side of your mat. Okay. You'll want your toes to kind of point in towards center and take a little shimmy side to side. Okay. So some of you, wide doesn't feel that great. And you might be here. And so it might look a little like this, like skier. Okay. You don't have to make the noise. Well, here, and then toes again, either pointing straight toward the long side of the mat or just a tish towards center, feeling that rotation through the bones. Deep bend in the knees, and then push your booty back. So just push your butt back. And then from here, you can either hang out right here. Gotta grab my block. You can bring your hands to your block. You can bring the hands to the floor. But I want you to keep that tiny bend in the knees. So it'll look, slippery floor. It'll kind of look like this as you push it back. You're connecting down into the floor. And imagine your sit bones right under here, those little bony ones that the kids sit on your lap. You're gonna lift those up toward the ceiling. So the knees don't have to be straight, but you're finding this movement again through the pelvis. And try to find a place to relax. Enjoy the sound of your breath. Start to lift, either coming to the block Maybe bringing hands to thighs, hands to hips. Sink your hips back against strong legs and feel the chest rise, straighten the knees. And then again, taking that shift side to side, kind of a baby side lunge. You'll notice kind of that rotation, that movement. And when was the last time you honestly moved side to side like this, right? So motion is lotion, as they say. Feeling that your body come into center, push down into the mat. Take your hands behind you, slide the arms down the back, and then whether your hands are interlaced or you can't quite reach there, maybe you're bringing hands to center, elbows in. Again, soft bend in the knees. Feel like this, like a little bounce to it. Press your hips back, okay? Once you start to fold, no more bouncing. And then start to feel the shoulder blades pull into center. Open through the heart. Push into feet. Slow rise to standing. Release those arms. Bring the hands to the hips. We'll rotate your front foot to the top of the mat and then just step to the top. Both feet pointing toward the short side, palms forward, half sun salute, fingertips rise. Soft bend in the knees, push your hips back. Again, just finding that movement, forward fold. Try to keep the spine long. Inhale for a half lift. Exhale, fold. And then strong legs, sink your hips back, use those quads, lift, reach and rise. Right back into the middle. Drop those hands into hips. Take your right foot and we'll step it back. From here, I'm going to switch sides real quick. You'll put your right foot forward, take your left foot forward, right foot pointing toward the long side of your mat. And you'll keep both legs mostly straight. So coming into this triangle. I'll demo for you on the other side. Here we go. Okay. From here, you're going to bring your shoulders over the top of your hips and then extend your arms. And again, extended arms might be hips or here or someplace in between. Reach forward. Now you're keeping this shoulder in line with this hip. Lift, lift, lift. Left hand comes down. Right hand rises. Lift your toes a little bit so you're not gripping into the mat. And feeling this kind of like shift through the hips as you press back. If your stance is really short, it's going to be hard to find much movement, just FYI, okay? The more you can hear, the more you feel safe in that balance, strong in that balance. And then we'll lift on up. Bring the hands to the hips. Float to the top of the mat again. And then same thing on the other side, just slide that left foot back. Step it back, bring it perpendicular here. Feel those toes lift a smidge. Extend the arms, keeping this left shoulder over left hip. Reach your right hand forward. See how long this right side of the body remains? As you come forward, you're not collapsing and coming into it like this, but you're staying as long as possible. Right arm comes down, left arm rises or stays at the hip. If you're using a block, we'll hang out here. If you're super flexy and have enough strength in the legs, you'll be able to actually take your pointer finger, middle finger, wrap it around the big toe, and then feel a little lift up and away from the floor. Time, it just takes time. Press into that right foot. Feel the torso lift. Hands move to the hips, keeping everything back to center of balance. Then step your left foot forward. Sway side to side. You can move those babies. And then we'll move into pyramid. I invite you again, if you don't have a block, maybe it's the edge of your sofa or your coffee table or whatever you call it, right? And we'll take this left foot, step it back, and then out to the side, okay? This is a shorter stance. So it'd be like if you were taking a step, right, front or back, that's about the distance of it. You wanna be able to have both heels flat on the floor and all of your toes, all 9 or 11 of them, however many you have, pointing toward the top of your mat or pointing forward. Then we'll bring the hands to the hips. And you're trying to keep, again, as long as you can, pubic bone to chin, coming forward. Now, full posture might be here. And instead of just kind of pouring into it or just collapsing into it, try to keep a little bit of lift into it. See how long this back line is as you come forward and maintaining. And then also push strong into the heel of this front foot, like you're going to push away from the floor, like bounce, going to bounce from here. And then bring the chest forward. And then maybe hands down to a block. Push into the heel. And then even just see if you can lift the toes, maybe even lift the toes. Feeling strength in this hamstring. Okay, hamstrings seem to be the juggernaut for most people. So here might be your full extension. Or if you're against a wall, you can press right here too. Or back of a chair, right? You can do all these things with those kind of tools. Then start to find your way back up to standing. Take those hands behind, open, push into the heels of the feet again. So you're pushing away from the floor, lifting through the chest. More movement mid-back than low back. Release the shoulders, hands to hips. Step forward. Sometimes you have to kick it out a little. Take your right foot back. And again, just the distance of one step. Tall your toes, pointing forward. Feel a lift. And then start to play with the edges of coming forward, keeping this length. Okay, when I get down here, I take just a moment to settle in, let the muscles figure out where they want to be. Then I'll take a little lift up, lift my toes, pull my chest forward toward the top of the mat. And then feel that expansion and extension as you exhale into it. Try not to lock out your front knee. Make sure there's a little bend to it. Keeping our joints happy. Strengthen the breath. Popping in and out of these long stretches doesn't allow the muscle to actually find a little length. Sometimes you just gotta settle into it. Your body's just trained to do so many things. You're gonna hang out here and give it a chance to be like, okay, I allow you, right? Push into that left foot. Feel the torso rise. Press into that back foot and then step forward. Extend the fingertips forward. Fingertips rise. Reach, 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 expand. And then drop elbows under ribs. Inhale up. Palms together. And let's play around with tree. Again, we kind of already did. If you feel like you want stability, bring that block next to you. Make sure it's the flattest space so that it's strong and sturdy. Maybe you find your friendly wall or unfriendly wall. I guess I can't judge their character. Bring your left knee forward and try not to pop out this hip and be like this in your tree, okay? If you can, you're gonna pull as long as you can, shoulder to heel on this right side. Lift your toes up just a tiny bit, and then rotate left knee out to the side. Your full tree might be here, okay? We're looking for the rotation of it, the length on this root, right? This root and trunk on this right side. Maybe you can pull in a little bit and lift. Maybe you can lift up the thigh, but try to avoid pressing your foot where, I know it fits, okay? Try not to push your foot into that knee joint and press out. I want you to push into center and then find those long bones for strength and stability to hang out in. Now, trees, elk, elm, weeping willow. This is my elk tree, okay? Or elm, whoops, open. And then hands to hips. Rotate that left knee forward, press it down into the mat. And then find a little movement. Bring and lengthen through this left side. Rotate right knee out. If you want to use a block on this side, again, have one or two blocks, rotate, move all your gear. The hardest part's trying to find spots to move it. Okay, ankle, wobbly tree, calf, maybe even inner thigh. But you're not pushing, again, this hip out. You're trying to pull it into center and feel that lift. Play with your arms. Maybe ballerina tree. Right? Oh, stop playing around, Sigrid. Now rotate this right knee forward. Press the foot out to the side. And then give her a little shimmy. Step back into center. Sink your hips back. Feel the hands to the thighs and then press away from the thighs. Feel the chest lift. So you're seeing this, again, length through spine as the hips come back and not just knees forward and a slump into it. But see if you can pull open, sink hips back. From here, we'll lift the knee and then release. Lift the knee, rotate out. So it'll look like this. Lift up, rotate out. Bring it back in, sink. Straighten the knees, lift. Oh, pressure out of those thighs. And then sink the hips back again. Bring the tiptoe of this right foot, bring it forward, bring it back down, play with balance, bring it up, rotate out to the side, bring it back in, down to sink. And then come back up. Hands rise. Really reach towards sky, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. We'll start to move toward the floor. Find your blocks where you need them. Inhale for a half lift. Bring the hands down to the floor or on top of those blocks. Walk your feet back into your plank. Feel that strong press and lengthen, and then lift the hips up. Take a little half step forward. Feel the soles of the feet release to the floor. Okay. They don't have to touch, peoples, okay? Exhale. You might be way up here. Try to keep weight out of the hands and push your hips back. Lengthening through the spine. Then gaze forward. And here's the spot where it's yogi's choice. Get down onto the floor however you can. In class, we've got a couple people that use some chairs, blocks, the wall, all of the things. And then come to seated, legs extended. Okay. Now, if you sit down and the feet just drift out to the sides, I want you to feel the sensation. Everybody just kind of drop those heels, those toes out to the side. And notice what happens to your whole spine. Everything just wants to curl under, find this place to compress or collapse. And instead, bring your toes up and just start to see how that takes that shift through the hips. You'll take another lift. You'll lift your booty off the floor. Rotate inner thigh towards center. And again, rotate inner thigh towards center. You can do that also while you're seated. And what it does is it takes the bones, like you've got your femur bone here, and it kind of wants to rotate out to the side. Ouch. Over rotate out to the side. And you're trying to just bring the bone back and lined up. Okay. Now, if your bones don't do that, don't do that. Okay. Toes up, hands to shins. Feel a lift. And then you're coming into this forward fold, kind of just folding forward like a bookcase, not a bookcase, a book or a suitcase. There we go. And then coming forward. So your full forward fold might be here. The movement's coming through the hips. It's not trying to come through the back so much. And lift forward. Now, if you do have that kyphosis, that rounding of the shoulders, these kind of things, that's something we can play with next month when we do shoulders, right? If you're here, then you're just going to hang out here, push into the leg, and try to lift away as much as possible. Or if that's not where you're at, chest, trying to move between the toes. You can also take a strap or a belt and kind of wrap it around the bottoms of the feet and kind of find this resistance to start building this, finding this lift through the chest also. All right, pull those heels in and we'll start to play with cobbler. So taking our bones from here and then rotating them out to the side, kind of like we've been doing when we were standing. Now, you'll notice I will bring myself up onto a block. You can bring yourself up onto a blanket or a block or a bolster, whatever you might have at home, just to kind of get the hips a little bit higher if that works for you. If coming into this cobbler, it's super easy for you, ignore the props, okay? Now, you can see mobility is a difference from one side to the other for me. We're playing around with some stuff over here. Now, let your knee drift out to the side, knees, okay? Now, if you can, you'll maybe start to open up the soles of the feet, drawing them away from each other. And if it's available, a forward fold. And again, it's not a forward collapse, it's a forward extension. And then start to heel toe feet wide, bringing the feet from center. Take your lean back and let the knees drift side to side. So now you're taking that bone and you're just bringing it over here. It's still staying connected, right? Right at that hip joint, and you're just finding movement. So your windshield wipers might be this, right? And one leg might be like, hey, hey, and the other might be like, whoa, instead. But just play with the movement of it. You'll find it's also a tiny, teeny, tiny baby twist. And then over here. Okay, if you're on the floor, I'm gonna find it here. If you go wider, you might go knee down to heel and finding that range of motion. Take it slow. It's not a fast movement. It's about finding range of motion. Right? Bring your whole body around if you'd like, or you can make it, again, like I said, a tiny bit of a twist if you keep your chest forward. One more time, over to the right. Swing up and over to the left one more time. And then lift to center. Hands to shins, round the spine, bring chin to chest. Pull up and through. Extend the left leg. We'll pull this right heel in and let the knee drift out to the side. So it's kind of a half cobbler, a seated tree, or in Sanskrit, it's called Janu Shirshasana. So finding this shape. Now, if this doesn't happen and this is where you need to be instead, we're just still trying to find this rotation through the hip, okay? As the knee comes out to the side. You might even just hold on and come forward and fold. Or hang out here. You'll feel lengthening through the right side of the muscles along the spine. You'll feel the rotation, release your sacrum in the low back. If it feels like it's too much and you're hanging out here, I'm gonna bring this block underneath and then just support it, right? So your body and your brain can come online and be like, okay, I feel like I can do all of this. You're listening to me, finally. And we'll start to lift. Bring it into center. Pull the left leg in, extend the right. Pull this left heel in. Play with the edges of it. Okay. Full posture might be just finding the rotation and there might not be a fold, or you can start to extend this left hand. So whatever leg is bent reaches toward the opposite side. Listen to the sound of your breath. Start to roll on up. Start to take this left leg, heel toe it out to the side. And then let's come back one more time just to find evenness in both sides. Remember, toes up where you can, little lift, rotate toes in, and then the forward fold. Pull yourself into center, plant the feet on the floor, round the spine, drop chin into chest. Lift up and pull through, and then round down onto the floor. Keep your left foot planted, right leg rises, and take right ankle above right knee, or right ankle above left knee. Don't bring your ankle above your knee on your right side. Things have gone sideways. And then play with just this kind of soft butterfly movement through this right leg. Okay. It doesn't have to be swift. It doesn't have to be intense. Just finding the edges of it. And then slowly start to let this right leg come forward a little bit. Take the sole of, or the heel of your right hand into that little chunky piece on the inside of your knee. And you're going to push your knee into your hand and your hand into your knee and just give it a little squeeze. And then release. Squeeze. And then release. Squeeze. And release. Rotate through the ankle here. We'll take right leg over left. Now, you might be able to just hang out here, or you can take this right leg over the left and find this crisscross applesauce here. This kind of eagle legs. If the back allows for it, maybe you're just going to hang out and take a little lean over to the left, or you might be able to roll all the way over onto your left hip and let the knees come over to the side. Try to keep this right shoulder on the mat. That's your little canary, making sure that that stays connected to the floor, and gaze over right shoulder where the neck allows. And again, modifications are knees wide, and just a little swish over. Less pressure through low to mid back. Here we're trying to find this opening through the side of the leg. Start to bring it into center. Release right foot to the floor. Rotate through those hips. Kick that left heel high. Bring left ankle over right knee. And then find that butterfly again. So you might notice one side, you've got a real flapping butterfly. And the other one is more, not so much, okay? Notice how that feels and where you feel it. See if you can move more through the joint. And then take the heel of this left hand into that little meaty part of the inner knee. Push into it and push your knee into your hand. Squeeze. 3, 2, 1. Release. Press and squeeze again. Soften. Press and squeeze. And soften. Start to slide this left leg over right where you can. And then where it's available, finding your twist. And again, you might notice at one side, you're like, oh, look at me go. And the other side, like, oh, look at it not go. So just play with the edges of it, okay? I'm gonna bring a block over to this side, give her a little lovin'. Take out the twist just a tiny bit. And then if you would like, you can bring your gaze over your left shoulder. So whatever direction your knees are, bringing the gaze over the opposite side. Start to bring the legs into the middle. Release both feet down to the floor. Take a little sway side to side. Oh, okay. Find any movement you need to here. Otherwise, if you're just like, if you need a little kick, oh, whatever. We're gonna take the thighs down toward the ribs. Find like knees as wide as you can. And maybe this is your full happy baby. Maybe you can reach up and grab the big toes, back of the legs, take a rock side to side. And then release feet down to the floor. This time we'll walk feet out to the edges of the mat. Gotta get on the center here. And let the knees just drift in towards center. So finding that inner spiral. You might find that this position, if you can actually bring the knees into center, kind of take some of the pressure or take some of that deep tilt out of the low back. If you would like, you can extend your legs all the way forward into that full Shavasana. Right here. Let's try to hang out here if you can. Now, if you're watching this during the recording, I know we're doing it live right now, but if you're watching this during the recording, just set your timer for 2 to 10 minutes. Take yourself a little resting time, and then we can turn this back on and we can do the rest of this. But right now, for those of us that are here today, we'll start to slowly find just a little bit of movement. Shavasana is really the most important posture. Roll through ankles, twist your toes, roll through wrists. Start to bring this left hand over, plant it on the floor, take this right hand out, lift yourself up to seated. Finding your easy seat, okay? And again, it can be legs tucked beneath you, legs extended straight in front of you, or that crisscrossed, or if you're in a chair, perfect. Letting those shoulders release down from the floor, from the ears. Hands rise, reach towards sky. Let the thumbs rest the space between the eyebrows. May your thoughts bring you wisdom. Thumbs to the lips. May your words speak truth. And then thumbs into heart center. May your actions continually show compassion. From my heart to yours, wishing you the most beautiful of days and the most lovely of lifetimes. So with that, wishing you a beautiful day, and I'll see you soon. Om Shanti, namaste.
Namaste. Sigrid, thank you as always. What a wonderful class. Sigrid will be back for the next class in our yoga series, the last of the year actually. We'll work to close out the series with a class called Easing Back Pain, which is another great part of this. So learn more and register by going to AARP. Sigrid, thank you as always. What a wonderful class. Learn more by going to aarp.org/ND events. You also can practice with Sigrid anytime via our AARP North Dakota Strength and Stretch Yoga playlist, which is on YouTube at AARP, well, actually at youtube.com/AARPND. And I want to thank my colleague behind the scenes, Doreen Striley. And for everyone who attended live today, do watch for an email with a survey link where you can provide us with your feedback. And then finally, I'll close by encouraging all to explore ways to volunteer with AARP. To learn more about how you can volunteer with purpose and on a lot of interesting events, go to aarp.org/I-want-to-volunteer, the number 2. I want to volunteer. You can learn more about how you can make a difference with AARP.